Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're just getting the contestants' information back in and sorted.
Welcome back, everyone, to round 2 of our Modern 1K here at the Out of the Box Summer Cup Series. We will be having John Karaspati playing Boros Burn. This may be a common theme that you see today with this event. And we have Paul Carroll running a personal homebrew of mine, Rakdos Elementals. Now, I gotta say, when I was putting this deck together the other night, this is some ridiculous stuff.
I love ridiculous stuff.
So, we have John with a very standard burn shell. I think that you're gonna see at a lot of competitive REL, Burn is a deck where it can really reward nuanced gameplay.
Agreed. Like, Burn is one of those decks that you can have somebody come in who doesn't know a lot about the game and place really well, but if somebody understands stack interaction and the way that decks play in the format and the best time to get things in, you can see Burn absolutely sing because it has the ability to exploit at every single part of gameplay.
Now, speaking of exploitation, Paul's build will have a level of interaction that's going to be extremely unique, running very versatile cards like Fury and Grief. The Rakdos mid-range deck, for those of you new to the metagame, again, last round we went over how Burn is a very low aggressive strategy that just deals tons of damage. With red-black mid-range, it's a deck that uses things that disrupt your opponent's hand. They take cards out, they remove very intricate pieces you need, and then just start playing dumb creatures and just getting in for crazy amounts of damage.
While Burn is a archetype that plays well within the game, Rakdos midrange is an archetype that actually changes the inherent nature of the game by making it smaller, reducing the cards that you have in hand, reducing your board state. It's seeking to shrink any presence you have while maintaining a steady board state. What it's looking to do is it's just slowly looking to overpower you and grind you into the dust. And unfortunately, Burn doesn't need any help in this endeavor because it quickly goes through a lot of its resources.
That's true. Now, and this is also an example of, as someone who plays Burn, dealing with hand disruption. So the irony is that if Paul loses any stride in his plays and can't weed those cards out of John's hand, then you start to see a very slippery slope of who can gain advantage. So as someone who plays a Thoughtseize against me, fine, they're taking a card out of my hand, but they're still dealing 2 damage. So we have Paul. He's already on the monkey train.
He's not blitzing in the monkey.
Okay, all right.
You're dashing in the monkey.
Yeah, dashing in the monkey.
The opposite side, we're going to see Goblin Guide. No swings because the opportunity for trade, I think, is too big.
Yep. Paul has to take advantage of the fact that John's strategy will be aggressive, be going sideways every single turn. That will allow him the opportunity to get in there and get in with Ragavan, gain some treasure, gain some cards off the top of John's deck, which is another really, really aggressive part of Ragavan Nimble Pilfer. The fact that if damage is dealt to a player, they can just start taking the cards off the top of your deck and they get extra cards, basically.
Yep.
And the other side of the coin
is the treasure.
Well, if John has to waste a burn spell on the monkey, that's a legendary creature that there can only be one of at a time. Okay, fine. Like Paul's willing to make that trade. Like that is any burn spell that goes after that monkey.
Terminate.
Okay.
Cast on the Goblin Guide.
And so there we go. And Lightning Helix is revealed.
And Lightning Helix is going to be going away because there's not enough mana on board to cast it.
And that's fine. Paul cannot play it, but it also keeps John from getting access to it too.
Which would have been a wonderful tempo shift.
Yes. Pretty rough. It's pretty rough. I do have to say, Like, I am kind of excited for this deck.
Showing the kindness of Karaspoti, he made his opponent a treasure token.
That's very sweet. John's good people.
He's good people. We love you, John. All right, we're going to see an Arid Mesa come down.
All right.
Looks like we're going to crack it.
Crack it. Let's see. I would imagine Sacred Foundry in play untapped.
Oh, most definitely. You got to get access to that white while also still keeping up the opportunity to have. Yep, there it is.
There's Sacred Foundry. So, all is not lost. There are options. There is Boru's Charm. Hoping maybe, okay, there's Eidolon of the Great Revel. Now things are going to get very interesting.
Most definitely. Let's go ahead and get a picture of Monkey up there. That way everybody can see what he does.
Ragavan Nimber Pilfer is absolutely an insane card. Every time I've seen this card in play or played with the card myself, this Ragavan the Nimble Pilfer is an example of Wizards of the Coast just pushing design to the limit. Speaking of pushing design to the limit, there is one of the newer cards out of Magic, Fury. So when Fury comes down, it deals a number of damage divided to multiple targets. So he's dealing 1 to John, he's dealing the rest to Eidolon of the Great Revel, getting it off the field. That will put John at 15, that will put Paul to 17. And with the effect, he was able to feign death the Fury, which will bring in the trigger one more time, plus allowing it to stay on the field permanently.
I love exploiting those evoke triggers. That's one of my favorite tricks in Pauper is to evoke the Mole Drifter, and hit it with an Ephemerate and watch it come back. Oh my.
So here comes John. We're tapping down. We're dropping the Goblin Guide. Now this is something new that I have not seen.
What's that?
Because so John, it's ironic that I built this for Paul to run today for the event, but also John and my friends John and Jose have also been talking about this deck. So this is an example of cards like Feign Death and Undying Malice that will like bring a creature back into play and taking complete advantage, like you said, of those evoke triggers. I didn't even remember what these cards do. I didn't remember what these cards have. So Feign Death and Fury have the ability to just bounce these effects back and forth. Feign Death is a 1 mana instant, and until end of turn, target creature gains when it dies, return it to the battlefield tapped with a 1/1 counter. So you get an evoke trigger twice off of Fury, so everyone can see on the screen. Fury is an elemental, and the elementals from Modern Horizons 2 have a enter the battlefield effect. And when it comes into play, this effect happens, but at the end of turn, you have to sacrifice it if you paid what's called an evoke cost.
Is it at the end of turn, or is it whenever it comes into the battlefield?
So I believe it's until end of turn.
Let's check just to make sure. No, evoke.
Oh, the evoke trigger. So the evoke trigger
is as soon as it enters the battlefield. As
soon as it enters the battlefield, it's immediately gone. But with that ability on the stack, you can do things like Feign Death, and it just comes right back. So it's just, so basically you have eight copies of Fury that deal constant damage. You have 8 copies of another card in the deck called Grief, which forces your opponent to discard. Now, so we now have John on a pretty rough backswing. He's at 7 life, and Paul has some board presence. Like, not gonna lie, like he's ready to go. So we're gonna drop that counter up to 2. And it's sort of difficult to see what is the counter on Paul's side of the field.
What do you mean, the life counter?
No, he's got one counter on the card to the left of Ragavan.
That's a treasure token.
Oh, so he's just popping. Oh, so he's just popping treasures at this point for extra mana. So now you have Fury with a counter, and so Grief comes into play. John is revealing Boros Charm, a Lava Spike, a Lightning Bolt, and Eidolon of the Great Revel.
Correct.
Let's see what Paul decides to remove from hand. This is, again, like cards like Grief and Fury, you get a huge body. Well, huge in deference to the mana you're investing in it.
Which is free.
Which is free. I mean, you're losing a card to do it. You have to pitch a card out of your hand.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, it's free.
Well, the Grief was hard cast, it looks like.
Yeah.
Because he untaps with it.
Yeah. Only 4 mana. Yeah. So, and that was, yeah. So
Menace
that's
is going to be really good in this
yeah.
matchup because Eidolon's not going to be able to block it.
God, this is rough. This is rough, but I do have to say I have to brag a little bit because it makes me feel good about running the deck. So he's going to chump block Eidolon the Great Revel with the countered Fury.
Yep.
Gaining a treasure token. Revealing cards off top. Wow. So John is at 3 at this point. I'm not. I think we're just going to scoop step. Yeah, I think we're just going to scoop step, guys. I just don't feel like the board presence can be gone through. All right, so let's see what John does. All right, so he's run the numbers. He's untapping. He's drawing for turn and scoops it up.
Yep.
So that will be game 2. That was game 1. We'll be going to game 2. Let's see what our competitors decide to sideboard.
You're definitely going to see John bring in Path to Exile and Sanctifier Infect.
Yes.
Because that's really going to keep it safe from the Furies, and he's going to be able to exile these creatures while they're on the stack. That way, any Feigned Death or anything like that isn't going to be able to bring them back.
I mean,
not while they're on the stack, but while their triggers are.
Yes. Well, and Path to Exile will be a really good effect because sending a Path to Exile will immediately put the card into the room from game zone, so it will not have an opportunity to take advantage of something like Feigned Death or Undying Malice. Now, on Paul's side, there is a great number of spice that he can bring in. You have things like Ingot Chewer. You have things like Pyrite Spellbomb to deal specifically with things like Sanctifier Anvek.
Agreed.
But in response, John can bring in Smash to Smithereens to get rid of the Pyrite Spellbomb, to get it off of the field before he drops the Sanctifier Anvek. So you have a number of very interesting interactions. And honestly, I mean, like, if Paul wants to, he can just jam in things like Doffy Voidwalker for additional unblockability because of Shadow. You have things like K-Command, Kolagon's Command.
K-Command is going to be wonderful.
K-Command is extremely powerful in decks that run some addition of artifacts and very small creatures. So, for example, as someone who plays, there's a deck build in Modern called Affinity that is largely artifact-based, and K-Command, Kolagon's Command, is a massive, massive pain because it can sit there and destroy artifacts that are part of your board state and then deal damage to creatures. And basically that removal can just be completely interchangeable however you need it. And so especially in games 2 and 3 for sideboard, what you'll see is if Paul runs something like K-Command, it will be a perfect opportunity to get rid of Pyrite Spellbombs or Sanctifier Anvek or Goblin Guide or Monastery Swiftspear, cards that could potentially win the game on their own. Things like Monastery Swiftspear, if enough spells go off, it's just a bad time.
Agreed. A Swiftspear and a Lightning Bolt deals 5.
Yes.
And that's insane. A Swiss Spear and 2 lightning bolts.
Or a Rift Bolt that comes off a suspend, plus a lightning bolt, with a Monastery Swiss Spear already in play. That is almost half of your opponent's life total.
Yeah, that's 9 damage
out.
right there.
It's done. You're wiped out.
So there is a very real threat that Burn always produces. And you can see why not Boros Burn, but just Burn in general stays as an evergreen archetype in any given format, because it's, again, I go back to how simple it is to count to 21, but in the simplicity of counting to 20, it exploits some of the most basic rules of the game to get there.
Well, but I do have to say, I think Boros Burn is a way to keep that staple. Burn strategies in general, if you just go mono red, or you really limit yourself to flexibility, which I think the cool thing about Burn is that everyone says, well, you just count to 20, you win. But like you said at the beginning of the round, that it can be very nuanced and can reward players who are experienced.
Agreed.
And you always, I always go back to an article Kai Bude wrote way back in the day. Who are you? As a Burn player, are you the control player, or are you the aggro player? Because things like Burn can run very defensively, run a control game where I'm just going to sit there and just pick out your threats, get rid of them, and when you eventually run out of ammunition, then I start shooting. And you just,
Burn has a unique ability to absolutely control a board state. It can, if you so choose, a Burn deck can dominate pretty much any board state.
Yes.
Because the efficiency of the removal is astronomical.
Now, I will also say that Paul gets to also play in this same role. Rakdos mid-range in of itself is not traditionally dedicated to one way of play or the other. It itself, from main deck to sideboard, has a lot of unique consistency of how it can just kind of bounce from one foot to the other. So let's just see. So I think everyone's shuffled up. I think everyone's just kind of shuffling. I think there's a little bit of banter between John and Paul. We've all been playing at the same stores for years now. And it's actually very, very funny that Paul previously, before running this deck, was a Titan Shift player. Mm-hmm. He was playing Amulet Titan. And he was actually very, very much over debate of playing that or Lantern Control today. I'm very thankful, by the way, that I do not have to commentate a Lantern Control matchup.
Nothing says fun like Lantern of Insight on turn 1.
Actually, nothing about that says fun, period. There's no fun there. I egregiously apologize to any of our Lantern Control fans in the chat, but they probably won't be very mad at me because they're too busy milling their opponents.
But you play your Lantern, you play your Telepathy, and you have what we call perfect knowledge.
And that is the perfect knowledge that your poor opponent will probably need Xanax or a shot of liquor after the round. Let's not mix things. So everybody's shuffled up. I think hands have been agreed. Yeah, hands have been drawn, but have they agreed to keep?
He's looking at that hand. Looks like he's got one down to put on the bottom.
Yeah. So let's. Yeah. I think this is an example where the London Mulligan, like Paul's having to go back and forth. He's deciding to keep, so he's putting it back under. Okay. So that will be John on play, Goblin Guide, going in hard.
Looks like advantage.
Ragavan is revealed. Yep, Inspiring Advantage. Return 1 play.
So,
that's Ragavan turn 1.
Putting that Ragavan straight down onto the field. That way, he's basically telling him you either deal with the Ragavan or you start paying for it.
Agreed.
Is that a fair trade? Are we going to trade the 3 life for the Ragavan?
Well, here's the problem. If he doesn't, then John's just going to start losing cards.
Agreed.
And
John went ahead and
John
made
went
the choice.
ahead, bolt. So back in the day, there was a saying, you bolt the bird. As soon as someone plays a Birds of Paradise, which is a mana ramp spell, if you're a burn player, you bolt that bird. Because that would just be just like in Emery's case, just slow incremental advantage.
Agreed.
Now you burn the monkey. You see a bird, you burn it. You see a monkey, you burn it twice. Double tap. Always a good rule of thumb. So, all right. So we have a Goblin Guide in play.
Yep.
All right. So Paul is fetched for Bloodstained Mire, fetching into Blood Crypt into play.
No,
untapped.
he fetched into the swamp.
Oh, he's fetched Swamp.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, technically that would be better play, especially against a burn player. I mean, Paul's already at 13.
Well, see, he played the Blood Crypt, untapped turn 1 to play the monkey.
That's fair.
So he took damage.
Yeah. But
we're going to see a Grief come in.
okay.
And then, so we see what's laid out is an Eidolon, a Sanctifier Invec, a Lava Spike, and a Roiling Vortex.
Yep, and there goes Sanctifier.
So the question is, do we want to take out the Sanctifier, or do we want to take out the Roiling Vortex? Because if you evoke,
okay,
that's 5.
here's the problem.
That Sanctifier sticks, it's there forever.
If the Sanctifier sticks, it's there forever. The only creatures there's no creatures in Rakdos Elementals
That can deal with Sanctifier.
that can deal with Sanctifier because it's pro red and pro black.
Agreed.
There is no creature that can deal with it. The only thing that can deal with it would be a pirate spellbound, which
Right.
are 2 of in the sideboard. Your chances of getting that, and off of the reveal trigger from Goblin Guide, a Fury is revealed.
Oh, yeah.
Now, with Fury out, oh wow. So with hand size, if Paul reveals a Fury and he untaps, he can play Feign Death and just unload a slew of damage with John. Plus, all right, so there's Eidolon of the Great Revel.
So we're going to want to play Eidolon first. That way he untaps, he'll be able to attack.
Yeah.
And then we can get the Roiling Vortex in next turn. That way, if we're...
Now, with an evoke trigger, would that rock off Eidolon?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Unless the Fury or the Grief would cost less than 3.
Okay.
Because it's not what you pay for the spell. It's the spell's mana cost.
So that would be correct. So Eidolon's damage trigger is based off of converted mana cost 3 or less.
Yep.
So with Grief being 4 converted mana value, that won't work. So yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. All right, so they are trading Monkey for
Eidolon.
Eidolon. Okay, that's all right. I mean, with like John not even taking the head damage. Oh, there's a Thought Seize. So
He's going
let's
to go
see.
ahead and rip that Lava Spike out of hand.
Yeah, I feel. Yeah. Or let's just see what else John has. So, all right. Okay, let's see where we're at. Now, I will say, I do feel like at a point that even though John hasn't tech damage, I still feel like Paul might still be in this game, even at 6 life, because John is burning through his resources.
He's top decking.
Yes.
He's only been able to put 2 lands down.
Yeah. So at 2 mana on top deck, this is pretty bad. So let's just see. Let's just see what happens. So draws for turn. So drops down a wooded foot. Is that a stomping ground or a wooded foothill?
That's a wooded foothills.
All right. So now, this will only get him into more mana. That's
Right.
all he has. There is a reshuffle from the fetch land if he chooses to crack it. But let's just see. So Paul's in thought, trying to see where we're going. He's going to swing in. Let's see what happens. He takes the damage.
He has no choice.
Yep.
Grief has menace.
Yep. All right, down to 16 now. Oh, there is a tap out. That is
Spyro.
Seasoned Pyromancer, one of my personal favorites. One of my personal favorite cards. I love this. All right. So, actually, let's, if you don't mind, Zach, let's get Seasoned Pyromancer up on screen.
Let's pull up Spyro,
so we can put this up.
Because there's a lot of text on this card.
There is some word soup. There is some word soup. It's all good word soup, but there is word soup.
Let's go ahead and get this boy up here, shall we? Oh, no, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
Okay, so I will get this up and running while my cohort gets this up on screen for everyone. Seasoned Pyromancer is one colorless double red for a creature human shaman. It is a 2/2. When Seasoned Pyromancer enters the battlefield, discard 2 cards, then draw 2 cards. For each non-land card discarded this way, create a 1/1 red elemental creature token. Now, you may also pay 3 colorless, double red, exile Seasoned Pyromancer from your graveyard, create 2 1/1 red elemental creature tokens. So, this is a card that is just
It synergizes really well with the elemental archetype.
It's great. It's so great. Well, first of all,
Lets you draw
do this
things.
with Feign Death.
Almost definitely.
Undying Evil, Undying Mouse, it gets bigger. You get the trigger again. Now, the cool thing is, if you need to go wide and create creatures, you can do so. If you want to just turn your jet, you can do so. So we have...
Bolt the element.
Yep. So Lightning Bolt, the elemental. We're blocking Goblin Guide. Now, with mana open, let's see. Is there? No, there's no responses. Everybody's just gone.
It's because this is the game is shrinking. It's slowly becoming a small game.
Yep.
So he feels confident in his ability to stay at 5 life. He doesn't feel the need to pressure or anything like that. He's taking it slowly because he feels like he's got a grip on what's going on.
Yeah. Although I do have to say, I feel a little concerned that, I mean, John's still in top deck mode. Like, he has to hit cards every time. So, let's see what we have. So, John is double checking his graveyard real quick. Okay, so we're swinging in with Grief. Pause contemplating a play. So he untaps, John draws. So he is straight up hard casting a Rift Bolt to try to get rid of Grief. Grief is gone. Now, in my opinion, Grief is, I mean, obviously Grief is a huge threat to John right now. So with Rift Bolt, your options are to either pay 2 colorless and 1 red to deal damage to any target, 3 damage, or you may pay what's called a suspend cost, which means you may play it for 1 red, and the next turn the suspend counter comes off and it comes into play. Again, this is an example of infinite versatility. So rather than try to wait a turn and just get some damage through the next time, John saw a window where he could hard cast that Rift Bolt, get rid of the Grief, and so now everyone is on a little more even scale. Swinging in, tapping out, And here comes Fury. Dealing damage. Drawing. And that is concluded. That is Rakdos Elementals. So, yeah, that card's amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of round 2. So I feel like the guys are just going over their sideboards. So Paul did take game 1, correct?
I believe so.
So I think he just got him. I think Paul just took him down. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go check with our competitors, and we'll see if we can't possibly get John and Paul over here for a little bit of an interview. Talk to them about the deck lists, the deck designs, the deck ideas, and see if we just can have a quick chat. For everyone here today watching on stream or participating at Out of the Box Games today for our Modern 1K, this Summer Cup series, please, thank you so much for joining in, for listening to the chat, for just participating and helping this gaming community grow. Do we got people coming?
Yes.
Fantastic. So two of my lovely clients, both John Caraspotti and Paul Carroll, will be joining us for this interview, and we're going to have a little talk and chat about setting things on fire and making people discard. But again, thank you everyone for participating in the chat and talking to us today and watching us on stream at Out of the Box Gaming, where you can find any of your gaming needs and wants here. And if we can't find it for you and we don't already have it in stock, we'll find it somewhere for you. Please stop by 36 West Main Street, Thomasville, to come by and check out our wares, and we hope to see you soon. Stand by for just a small intermission, and we will get I'm not really sure
least
what
they can
kind of
hear
a
you now.
reward is to our online community.
You know what? You're right.
I mean, how rude are you gonna be, John?
I don't know, man.
Welcome back, everyone, to our modern 1K. So I guess since this is the part of the show where everyone decides to give me a hard time.
That's my job, yeah.
Yeah. So with us is John Carrot-Spotty, one of our local burn enthusiasts. So how
Sometimes
do
you just gotta go fast.
I mean, this is true, and nothing goes faster than red. I mean, Orc said it first.
It really makes it go faster.
So, well, that's fair. So, how do you feel about that matchup?
Yo, I'm gonna start by saying I'm really glad I own like 90% of the pieces for Rakdos good stuff.
Yeah.
Because fuck, that deck is good. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
I know, and I'm letting him run it, and that's I built it.
Oh, nice.
Like last night at 2 a.m. So my apologies.
My apologies for building the deck you're building.
Yeah, well, no, my apologies for having his version built before you and like smashing your jaw.
I was gonna play burning this either way.
But I gotta say, like the versatility in
Well,
that
it's just
deck,
like,
it's
hey,
amazing.
You know what's great? Casting spells for free and then not having any of the drawbacks of casting them for free. It is great.
In fact, even better, they actually get bigger for you doing stuff to make them free again. Yeah. It's so honestly, I didn't even know what Feigned Death and like Undying Evil and like Undying Malice. I didn't even know what those cards did. They're draft chaff.
They're draft chaff.
That is just magically amazing.
Well, they're draft chaff that's good because we have a suite of mythic evoke creatures that are bananas.
Yes.
A-N-A-N-A-S.
Exactly.
And this is another, like I was saying on the stream, this is an example of Wizards pushing the power dial of certain suites of cards, like all of the elementals from Modern Horizons, and then you can just have random ubiquitous commons that are 2 cents that, let's take something broke, tie it in a knot, and break it again.
Well, I don't think, especially since the Future League is less extant now in Wizards development, I don't think that anybody thought, hey, this is going to break the evoke creatures we just printed. Nobody thought that because nobody's job was to think that anymore.
Yeah.
Modern Horizons 2 was probably the tail end of Fire Design.
Probably.
So,
and if you wouldn't mind, for some of our viewers who might not know like the intricacies of elements, can you describe Fire Design just a little bit?
okay, so, and this is just my secondhand knowledge from
Of course.
following people that work for WotC on Twitter.
Yeah.
Fire design was a design philosophy, much like Metamorphosis 2.0 was a design philosophy. And the point was print cards that generate fun and interesting individual actions in games.
Yeah.
That tended to mean that the individual cards were just really, really bananas good.
Yeah.
So like Oro and Oko, who have died,
Not completely.
very much just like demanded deaths in modern.
Yeah, demand death. Yeah.
Are pinnacles of fire design.
Yeah.
Here is a one card that's super cool that does a bunch of cool stuff the second you play it.
So for our new entry level
Get up
people
in
into
here.
Magic the
Talk about
Gathering, come on,
Rakdos.
Paul, sit down. Sit down. I don't bite. I have dinner today. I'm not not that peckish or good. With us is Paul Carroll, our other competitor on Rakdos Elementals today. So we were just talking about fire design, which basically, in a nutshell, is we're just going to make fun things and make them do fun things. And so that's all good and well, but when you push them into larger and larger card pools and everybody's doing fun things, it just may or may not become a freaking free-for-all like we just saw.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
Where you have these $20, $30 mythics that just are broke on their own account, then let's just take some draft chaff. Because so previously, before you building this deck, I'll just tell you, spoiler alert, us and our team were building the same thing.
Oh yeah.
John sends me a list for cards like Feign Death, cards like Undying Evil and Undying Malice that I'm like, what? And so I had to look them up because I didn't even know what they were. And Sarah, my girlfriend Sarah, I'm in the sunroom pulling an order. She goes, "What are you looking for?" I have no clue. I'm
Random comments.
This is alphabet, and I know how to spell things. I don't know what this is. And so then I'm reading the cards, and it's sort of like when you're at a club and you see something bad about to happen. You just look at two of these cards like,
oh, that's what these do.
this isn't good at all. And so I show Sarah the deck as I'm sleeving it up. And Sarah's behind me, she's like, "This is garbage." It's like, "It's really good." I said, "No, this is garbage on fire. Like, this is gonna be a bad time." And she's like, "I'll just stay with Bailey. I ain't coming to this." I was like, "Okay, but what about those Aether Vials I just put in Murphy?" She's like, No, I don't want none of this.
Dude,
No.
It's good.
it's
really good.
It felt good to play Ragged Man. Have this one?
Yo,
I haven't got to do that yet.
Monkey is
Monkey's
so much
so
work.
good.
He's talked me into it.
Yeah.
He actively deserved to die in Legacy.
So here's
absolutely.
here's the thing. So both of these decks, even though technically you would be maybe considered more of a mid-range deck, I really like how Burn.
Fair Magic.
Yeah, right. Like how Burn. Like how Burn and Rakdos Elementals, they have the ability to just switch their feet. You can decide, am I going to be the aggressor? Am I going to be the control? You get to decide, am I going to be the aggressor? Am I going to be the control? I like how players at a higher tier level can make these little idiosyncrasy changes in how they're playing. It's the same 75 cards.
Yep.
From the minute you walk in to the minute you leave, it's the same 75, but the way you're playing those 75 can change all day.
Well, yeah, and the secret to getting even close to good at Magic is being able to identify who's the beatdown.
Oh yeah, pretty much. That's like rule zero.
I
in
made
Magic.
reference.
Yeah.
I made reference to the article back in the day. The kind
the
of
beatdown?
wrote, "Who's the
the
beatdown?"
old one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is a great example of, I really hate. I mean, I'm a Burn kid, and everyone knows I'm a Burn kid, but I hate the fact that people, well, just bring your calculator with you. That's all Burn players do. No, there's so much
It's a
more
little
to
bit more
that.
intriguing. Like
It's a little
Tron's
harder
not just
than that.
counting to 7. It kind of is, but it's
It will
not.
sort of.
Like Burns counting to 20. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's you do need more than an abacus and a calculator to play the game.
Yeah.
It helps to understand the stack.
Fine, if you want to goldfish all day, sure, count to 20, count to 7.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're dealing with another individual, another competitor who's just as hungry for that win as you are.
Yeah, and knowing how and when to close the match is...
You could say, I just counting to 6.
Yeah, right. But yeah, and I love Season Pyromancer.
That
Fire
card,
Man. Great.
I underrated that card so bad. Like, so bad.
So did
So bad.
everyone when that card came out.
Yeah.
I love
Except
it.
junk players.
Right, except junk players. So, like Seasoned Pyromancer, cards like Spyro, cards like Unlicensed Ursula. Well, this is crap. Okay, fine. And then all of a sudden, 6 months later, they've tripled in price.
2 weeks.
Yeah, Hearse was 2 weeks, but in Spyro's defense, Hearse is like Smuggler's Copter. An artifact that can play anything, anywhere, any deck, cutting, slicing, julienning fries.
It's reliable graveyard hate that you can shove into anything, and sometimes it's a big old beater.
And Spyro feels the same way, because like as long as you're running mountains, what do people who run mountains want to do? Draw more things.
Yeah.
You know.
The thing that I really underrated about him was his graveyard ability. I was like, that doesn't seem that useful, but I think that's the reason.
I'm never going to spend 5 mana, except that one moment when you're going to spend 5 mana.
But that just happened. To me.
Well,
I was
at the end, that's the issue.
turns.
At the end of the game, let's say everyone's fizzling out. Someone plays a relic, gets rid of your sideboard. You have open mana. Fine, you've just gotten rid of my sideboard, but I have 2 new guys you have to deal with.
Yeah.
Like, there was a point where you were top decking, John. And
Like 70% of that game.
Right, well, yeah. And the thing is that deck was making you burn through your resources so quickly.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, Fury's a thing that you gotta deal with.
Fury,
Grief with having menaces happening on
and you're
too.
running technically 12 Fault Seasons.
Yeah.
Right? You have a main deck of Fault Seas, you have a main deck of Grief, and then if you do the Feign Death,
Flicker.
The Feign Death, Undying Malice.
Yeah, what
so
did you
good.
just say?
Flicker Grief. Yeah.
Oh, just flicker it in. Yeah. So and I did not remember that Feign Death makes it actually get a counter.
Yep, they both do.
Feign Death is bizarre.
So, like, it's like nothing but full reward. It feels like Aether Flix Reservoir. Let's just reward myself for showing up.
Pretty much.
Like,
it's nuts.
Do we have parents?
all right. Okay. Well, guys, again, thank you so much for sitting down with us and having a chat on Broken Things.
Absolutely.
Paul?
I love broken things.
Now, if you win this whole thing, you gotta give your friendly neighborhood
absolutely.
broker a little shout.
Absolutely.
Johnny, best of
Always
luck to you.
pleasure.
Absolutely.
Who else is doing it together? So my mail.
You're the only competitor here I had to do a full 75 for.
Yeah.
Mostly I was just helping finish stuff.
He wasn't supposed to do full 75, but I thought
Yeah.
the tournament was Sunday, right? So I ordered for Card King, and my order is supposed to be like today-ish.
I thought
Good news is
It was
you'll
Sunday
have
too.
them,
I will
which means
have them.
Adam will have them, which means I'll have them.
Well,
you'll have extras because I'm building the same thing. See, he's trying to take the deck from me. I'm like, I'm building y'all a build. So between both of you guys, we can have like a 3-up of this thing running just rampant.
At least
I don't know if watching the gameplay, the deck seems like, how are these interactions not spotted before by somebody?
Well, we were just talking about that.
They were.
They're trying to push those power levels. They're
Right,
trying
absolutely,
to
yeah.
push the fun.
early Modern Horizons 2, I played Black White Blank, which is
same, the
Rakdos.
reanimator.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same, except instead of running red for Fury, you're running white for Sausage.
By the way,
And it was not good because the meta was still too aggressive.
Yeah.
but when you ban Luris and you make everything slower, and by slower I mean not turn 1. So, like, you start to widen that gap, and you start to widen that field of
And now
what you can play.
mid-range deck like Rakdos, Reanimate
Yeah.
is both viable and extremely good.
Yeah, but also too with things like Rag Van Nimble Pilfer, you're not it's not like Jund where you only start getting kicked off at turn 3 or 4. Like, this is a deck that can actually put some pressure early in
it
and
wants
get up
to be
there.
the aggro. Like,
Yeah.
ideally, you are turn 1, Grief, Reanimate, Grief.
Yeah.
Or Monkey.
Or Monkey. Pick one. And then, like,
Yeah.
that's, what, 8?
I still don't know what the best play is, because, like, it's hard to come back from getting
Well,
double thought
so-
seasons.
Double
I think-
Falsies turn 1 is, I think, my preferred play.
Yeah.
Because turn 2, you can dash a Monkey.
That's very true, yeah.
So I mean, realistically, the cool thing about the double Fault Seas play is if you don't know what your opponent's playing, you get to A, find out what they're playing, and B, find out what they're playing by shredding their hand
Yeah,
apart.
get rid of all of your early good stuff and
mean,
buy
I
loads of
can't-
good stuff, I'm gonna have interaction.
I mean,
because
it's
I'm an
like, so
interaction
you have
artist.
cards like Burning Inquiry where it's random discard, but like some people will keep a hand based off like two or three
cards.
really good cards.
Yeah.
And so like, let's say somebody has that hand and I Burning Inquiry you and I inquired the two cards
yeah.
that made the hand work. Well, congratulations, you now have
It
trash.
feels good when you play a hollow
So-
and you make them like flip over 2 strong lands or something.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Next round is about to get started.
All right.
Pleasure. Good luck to you,
Thanks for
gentlemen.
coming
Thank you
and
so
talking to
much.
us.
Seeing you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Double thanks to you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
The broker abides, my friend. All right, everyone. So that's the end of our interviews. We'll be up with round 3 at our Out of the Box Gaming Summer Cup Series Modern 1K. Stay tuned, everyone.